Alien panic. In the depths of space, on a planet far, far away, lived a bunch of funny-looking aliens. These aliens had big heads, green skin, and 3 eyes. They called themselves the Zorgans. The Zorgans thought they were the smartest beings in the whole universe. They spent most of their time watching other planets on their super-duper space TV. One day, while flipping through space channels, they found something new. "Hey, look at this," shouted Zorg, the alien with the biggest head. He pointed at the screen with his long, wiggly finger. On the space TV, a small blue and green planet appeared. It was Earth, but the Zorgans didn't know that yet. "Wow, it looks like a tasty space cookie," said Blorp, Zorg's best friend. Zorg's 3 eyes blinked one after another. "You're right, Blorp. It does look yummy. I bet it's full of delicious things to eat." The other Zorgans gathered around the space TV, their antennae twitching with excitement. They had never seen a planet quite like Earth before. Suddenly, the doors swoosh open. In walked the biggest, greenest Zorgan of them all, Supreme Commander Zoink. He had a shiny medal on his chest that said "Best Alien Boss" in Zorgan language. "What's all the fuss about?" Zoink boomed, his voice echoing in the room. Zorg saluted so hard he almost fell over. "Supreme Commander, we found a new planet. It looks delicious." Zoink pushed his way to the front, his eyes growing wide as he saw Earth. He licked his lips with his long, purple tongue. Well, he said, rubbing his hands together. "Looks like we found our next meal, boys." The room erupted in cheers. Zorgans jumped up and down, high-fiving each other with their 6-fingered hands. But then, Blorp raised his hand. Supreme Commander, how do we know if it's safe to eat?" Zoink's smile dropped. He scratched his big head, thinking hard. "You're right, Blorp. We need to test it first." The room went quiet. All the Zorgans looked at each other, wondering what to do. Then Zorg had an idea. He jumped up and down, waving his arms. Oh, I know. Let's send our scariest pet." Everyone turned to look at the corner of the room. There, in a glowing cage, sat a small, fluffy creature. It had big eyes, floppy ears, and a wagging tail. "Behold," Zoink announced, pointing dramatically. "The Fuzzy Doom." The Zorgans gasped. The Fuzzy Doom was the most terrifying thing they had ever seen. To them, it looked like a monster from their worst nightmares. "Yes," Zoink laughed, his voice getting louder. "We'll send the Fuzzy Doom to Earth. If it survives, we'll know the planet is safe to invade." The Zorgans cheered again, jumping around and doing silly alien dances. Zoink walked over to the cage and peered inside. The Fuzzy Doom looked up at him and let out a small woof. "Silence, beast," Zoink shouted, jumping back in fear. "Soon, you will bring terror to that strange new world." The other Zorgans cowered behind chairs and tables. They were scared of the Fuzzy Doom, even though it was wagging its tail and looking cute. "Prepare the smallest spaceship," Zoink ordered. "We launch the Fuzzy Doom immediately." Zorg and Blorp saluted and ran off to get the spaceship ready. They returned pulling a tiny silver ship that looked like a soup can with wings. "Excellent." Zoink rubbed his hands together again. "Now who's brave enough to put the Fuzzy Doom in the ship?" The room went quiet again. No one wanted to go near the fluffy creature. Finally, Zorg took a deep breath. "I'll do it, Supreme Commander." He puffed out his chest, trying to look brave. Slowly, very slowly, Zorg approached the cage. His hand shook as he reached for the door. The Fuzzy Doom tilted its head, looking confused. In one quick motion, Zorg opened the cage, grabbed the Fuzzy Doom, and tossed it into the tiny spaceship. He slammed the door shut and ran back to the group, panting. "Well done, Zorg." Zoink patted him on the back. "You're a true hero of the Zorgan Empire." Zoink walked up to the spaceship and peered through the window. Inside, the Fuzzy Doom was sitting quietly, its tail still wagging. "Listen up, Fuzzy Doom," Zoink said in his most serious voice. "Go to Earth. Terrify the inhabitants. Prepare the way for our invasion." With that, Zoink pressed a big red button. The tiny spaceship's engines roared to life. "Launching in 3, 2, 1. The computer's voice counted down. The Zorgans watched as the small ship shot out into space, carrying their scariest pet towards Earth. Little did they know, their plan was about to go hilariously wrong. The Fuzzy Doom was on its way to Earth, but it wasn't going to scare anyone. Instead, it was about to make a whole planet fall in love. As the spaceship disappeared into the stars, Zoink turned to his crew with a big, evil grin. "And now we wait. Soon, Earth will be ours to devour." The Zorgans cheered one last time, dreaming of their future feast. But the universe had other plans, and the biggest surprise of their lives was just beginning. Oops, wrong landing. The tiny spaceship zoomed through the stars, carrying its fluffy passenger towards Earth. Inside, the Fuzzy Doom wasn't scared at all. It wagged its tail and looked out the window, excited about its big adventure. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, it started to shake. The Fuzzy Doom let out a small woof and held on tight with its little paws. Meanwhile, on Earth, it was a beautiful sunny day in Central Park, New York City. Kids were playing, adults were jogging, and birds were singing. Nobody knew that a visitor from outer space was about to crash their peaceful day. Suddenly, a loud whoosh filled the air. People looked up, pointing at the sky. "Look, is that a shooting star?" a little girl asked her mom. "In the daytime. That's weird," her mom replied, squinting at the bright object. The shooting star got bigger and bigger. It wasn't slowing down. "Everyone, look out!" someone shouted. People started running in all directions. Parents grabbed their kids. Dogs barked. It was chaos. Crash, bang, boom. The tiny spaceship hit the ground, bounced 3 times like a skipping stone, and finally stopped in a flower bed. Smoke puffed out from under it. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then, slowly, people started creeping closer to the crash site. "What is it?" whispered a boy to his friend. "I dunno. Maybe it's a satellite." His friend guessed. A brave police officer, Officer Joe, arrived at the scene. He approached the smoking ship carefully, his hand on his radio. "This is Officer Joe," he said into his radio. "We have an unidentified object in Central Park, requesting backup. And, maybe someone who knows about space stuff." As Officer Joe got closer, he heard a sound. It wasn't a scary alien noise. It sounded like a puppy. "Woof, woof." Officer Joe's eyes went wide. "There's a dog in there," he shouted. Without thinking, he ran to the ship and started pulling at the door. It was hot, but he didn't care. He had to save the puppy. With a metallic groan, the door popped open. A cloud of smoke puffed out, making Officer Joe cough. As the smoke cleared, everyone held their breath. What would come out of the alien ship? 2 floppy ears appeared, then a cute furry face with big eyes. The Fuzzy Doom looked around, tilted its head, and let out another happy woof. "Oh." The crowd couldn't help but coo at the admirable sight. Officer Joe's serious face melted into a big smile. "Well, aren't you the cutest little alien I've ever seen?" He laughed, gently picking up the Fuzzy Doom. The fluffy creature licked Officer Joe's face, making him giggle like a kid. News of the cute alien spread fast. Soon, reporters arrived with big cameras and microphones. "Officer, can you tell us about the alien dog?" one reporter asked, shoving a microphone in Joe's face. Officer Joe, still holding the Fuzzy Doom, looked a bit overwhelmed. "Well, it seems friendly, and really soft, and it likes belly rubs." He demonstrated by scratching the Fuzzy Doom's tummy, making its leg thump happily. Kids pushed to the front of the crowd, all wanting to pet the space puppy. Parents took pictures with their phones. Everyone was smiling and laughing. Meanwhile, in a secret government building, a group of serious-looking people in suits watched the scene on TV. "Sir, what should we do?" a nervous assistant asked the boss. The boss, a tough-looking woman with gray hair, watched the screen. She saw Officer Joe playing with the fuzzy Doom, kids petting it, and everyone having a great time. After a long moment, she sighed and smiled. "Well, it looks like the situation is under control. Let's just keep an eye on our new visitor and maybe send some dog treats to Central Park." Back in the park, Officer Joe was answering more questions. "What are you going to name it?" a little girl asked. Officer Joe thought for a moment. "How about Cosmic? Cosmic, Cosmic, Cosmic." The crowd chanted, loving the name. Cosmic the space puppy barked happily, enjoying all the attention. As the sun started to set, Officer Joe knew he had to do something. He couldn't just leave Cosmic in the park. "All right, little space buddy," he said to Cosmic. "How about you come home with me tonight? We'll figure out what to do with you tomorrow." Cosmic responded by licking Joe's nose. As Officer Joe carried Cosmic home, people on the streets stopped and stared. Some asked to pet the alien puppy. Others took selfies. Joe couldn't help but laugh. "You're going to be famous, Cosmic," he told the fluffy alien. When they got to Joe's apartment, he made a cozy bed for Cosmic using old blankets. He found some leftover chicken in the fridge and put it in a bowl. "I hope alien puppies like chicken," Joe said, watching Cosmic sniff the food. Cosmic wagged its tail and started eating happily. Before going to bed, Joe looked at Cosmic, who was now curled up in the blanket nest. "You know," he said softly, "you were supposed to be some scary alien. But you're just a sweet little puppy, aren't you?" Cosmic opened one eye, gave a sleepy woof, and went back to sleep. As Joe turned off the lights, he had no idea that far away in space, a bunch of big-headed aliens were waiting for news of terror and destruction. Boy, were they in for a surprise. Surprise package. The next morning, Officer Joe woke up to a wet nose poking his face. Cosmic, the alien puppy, was ready to start the day. All right, I'm up," Joe laughed, scratching Cosmic behind the ears. As Joe got ready for work, he wondered what to do with his new alien friend. He couldn't just leave Cosmic alone in the apartment. "Looks like you're coming to work with me, buddy," Joe told Cosmic, who wagged his tail excitedly. When they arrived at the police station, everyone stopped and stared. Cosmic trotted alongside Joe, looking curiously at everything and everyone. "Joe, is that the alien dog from the news?" his partner, Officer Sarah, asked in disbelief. Joe nodded. "Yep, this is Cosmic. He needed a place to stay, so—" Before he could finish, the police chief burst out of his office. "Joe, in my office, now. And bring that thing with you." Joe gulped and followed the chief, Cosmic padding along beside him. Inside the office, the chief paced back and forth. "Do you have any idea what's happening out there?" he asked, pointing at the window. Joe looked outside and his jaw dropped. The street was packed with people. Some held signs that said, "We love Cosmic," and "Aliens welcome." News vans lined the curb, their reporters talking excitedly into cameras. "The whole world's gone crazy for this little guy," the chief said, looking at Cosmic. The alien puppy tilted his head, as if trying to understand. Suddenly, the phone rang. The chief answered it, his face growing more serious with each word. "Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Right away, sir." He hung up and turned to Joe. "That was the mayor. He wants us to bring the alien to City Hall. Some government scientists are on their way to examine it." Joe felt a wave of protectiveness wash over him. "But Chief, Cosmic isn't dangerous. He's just a puppy." The chief sighed. "I know, Joe, but orders are orders. Let's go." As they left the station, the crowd cheered. People took photos and tried to pet Cosmic. The alien puppy seemed to enjoy the attention, wagging his tail and letting out happy little woofs. At City Hall, a group of serious-looking people in white coats were waiting. They had all sorts of strange machines and gadgets with them. "Hand over the alien, please," one of the scientists said, reaching for Cosmic. But Cosmic had other ideas. He ducked behind Joe's legs, looking up with big, scared eyes. Joe's heart melted. He knew he had to protect his new friend. "Wait," he said to the scientists. "Before you do anything, let me show you something." He knelt down next to Cosmic. "Cosmic, sit." To everyone's surprise, Cosmic sat perfectly. "Good boy," Joe said, giving Cosmic a treat from his pocket. "Now, roll over." Cosmic rolled over, his tongue lolling out happily. The scientists looked at each other, confused. This wasn't what they expected from an alien invader. Joe continued, "Cosmic, shake." Cosmic held out his paw, and Joe shook it. The crowd that had gathered outside City Hall was watching through the windows. They started to cheer and clap. One of the scientists stepped forward. "Officer, I must admit, this is most unusual. We were expecting, well, something more alien." Just then, the mayor arrived. He looked at Cosmic, then at the cheering crowd outside. "Well," he said with a big smile, "it seems like our little alien friend here is quite the celebrity." He knelt down and patted Cosmic on the head. Cosmic responded by licking the mayor's hand, making him laugh. "You know what?" the mayor announced. "I think we should have a parade to welcome Cosmic to our city." The crowd outside went wild with excitement. As everyone started planning the parade, Joe noticed something strange. A small patch on Cosmic's back was glowing faintly. "Hey," he said to one of the scientists. "What do you make of this?" The scientist examined the glowing patch carefully. "Fascinating. It seems to be some kind of communication device." Suddenly, the patch started blinking. A tiny hologram appeared above Cosmic, showing a group of big-headed green aliens. They looked very confused. "Fuzzy Doom," one of the aliens squeaked. "Why haven't you destroyed the Earth yet?" Everyone in the room froze. Cosmic just tilted his head and let out a small woof. The alien hologram looked shocked. "What's wrong with you? You're supposed to be terrifying." Joe stepped forward. "Excuse me," he said to the hologram, "but Cosmic here isn't terrifying at all. He's the sweetest puppy we've ever met." The aliens in the hologram huddled together, whispering. Finally, one turned back to the camera. "This cannot be," he declared. "We're sending more Fuzzy Dooms to Earth right now. You'll see how scary they really are." With that, the hologram disappeared. The room was silent for a moment. Then the mayor spoke up. "Well, folks, it looks like we're going to have some more visitors. But if they're anything like Cosmic here, I say the more, the merrier." Everyone cheered, and Cosmic barked happily. As they left City Hall, Joe looked down at Cosmic. "Looks like we're in for quite an adventure, buddy," he said. Cosmic wagged his tail in response. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. And so, as news of the incoming invasion spread, the city prepared not for war, but for the biggest puppy parade in history. Little did they know, the real surprise was yet to come. Alien boss freaks out. Far away in space, on the Zorgan mothership, Supreme Commander Zoink was not having a good day. He sat in his big, shiny commander chair, watching a giant screen. On it, he could see everything happening on Earth with their Fuzzy Doom. "What is going on?" Zoink shouted, his 3 eyes bulging. "Why aren't the humans running in terror?" Zorg, his assistant, nervously approached. "Well, sir, it seems the humans find our Fuzzy Doom cute." Zoink's green face turned purple with anger. "Cute? Cute? The most terrifying creature in the galaxy is not cute." He pounded his fist on the armrest, accidentally hitting a button. Suddenly, cheery music started playing throughout the ship. Zoink growled in frustration. "Turn that off," he yelled. Zorg scrambled to find the right button, finally stopping the music after a moment of chaos. Zoink took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "Show me the Fuzzy Doom destroying their city," he demanded. Zorg gulped. About that, sir." He pressed a button, and the screen changed. Instead of destruction, they saw Cosmic in a parade. The little alien puppy was riding on a float, wearing a tiny crown. People were cheering and throwing confetti. Zoink's jaw dropped. "What is that?" he asked, pointing a shaky finger at the screen. "It appears to be a celebration, sir," Zorg explained. "The humans are having a parade for our Fuzzy Doom. They've named it Cosmic." Zoink stood up so fast, his commander hat fell off. "They me did." He started pacing back and forth, muttering to himself. "This is all wrong. Fuzzy Dooms are supposed to strike fear into the hearts of our enemies. They're not supposed to wear crowns and ride on floats." Suddenly, he stopped. A sly grin spread across his face. "I've got it," he exclaimed. "If one Fuzzy Doom isn't enough to scare them, we'll send more. Lots more." Zorg looked worried. "But sir, are you sure that's a good idea?" Zoink ignored him. "Prepare the Fuzzy Doom launching pods," he ordered. "We'll rain terror down upon the earth." The other Zorgans on the ship rushed to obey. Soon, hundreds of small pods were ready, each containing a Fuzzy Doom. Zoink rubbed his hands together with glee. "Now, humans," he cackled, "prepare to face your doom." He pressed a big red button. The pods shot out from the ship, streaking towards Earth like furry meteors. Back on Earth, Officer Joe and Cosmic were enjoying the parade when suddenly, people started pointing at the sky. "Look!" someone shouted. "More shooting stars." Joe looked up and saw hundreds of small objects falling from the sky. His eyes widened as he realized what they were. "Everyone, stay calm," he called out. "It looks like we're about to have more visitors." The pods landed all over the city with soft thumps. As they opened, out popped more alien puppies, each one as cute and fluffy as Cosmic. Instead of panic, the city erupted in cheers. People rushed to greet the new arrivals, offering pets and hugs. Back on the mothership, Zoink watched in horror. "No, no, no," he yelled. "This isn't how it's supposed to go." He saw humans picking up the Fuzzy Dooms, cuddling them, and giving them treats. Some of the alien puppies were already playing fetch in the park. Zoink's eye twitched. He turned to Zorg. "Prepare my personal ship," he growled. "If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself." Zorg gasped. "But sir, you've never been to Earth before. It could be dangerous." Zoink puffed out his chest. "I am the supreme commander of the Zorgan Empire. I fear nothing." As Zoink marched towards his ship, he grabbed his scariest-looking helmet and his biggest ray gun. "I'll show those humans what real terror looks like." Meanwhile, on Earth, the city had turned into one big puppy party. The new Fuzzy Dooms were everywhere, playing with kids, chasing balls, and generally being adorable. Cosmic seemed especially excited. He ran from one new friend to another, barking happily. Officer Joe watched with a smile. "Well, buddy," he said to Cosmic, "looks like you've got a whole family now." Suddenly, Cosmic's communication patch started glowing again. The hologram of the aliens appeared, but this time they looked really angry. "Attention, Earth beings," the alien shouted. "Your day of reckoning is at hand. Supreme Commander Zoink himself is on his way to conquer your puny planet." Joe looked at the hologram, then at all the happy puppies and smiling people around him. He couldn't help but laugh. "Well," he said to the hologram, "I think your commander might be in for a bit of a surprise." As the hologram disappeared, Joe looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, an alien boss was on his way, expecting to find a planet in terror. Little did he know, he was about to land in the middle of the biggest, furriest welcome party the universe had ever seen. Puppy invasion. The city was in chaos, but not the kind anyone expected. Instead of screams and running, there was laughter and excited barking everywhere. The Fuzzy Dooms had taken over, but not in the way their alien masters had planned. Officer Joe stood in the middle of Central Park, surrounded by hundreds of fluffy alien puppies. Cosmic sat by his side, looking very proud of his new friends. "Well, buddy," Joe said, scratching Cosmic behind the ears, "I think we might need a bigger dog park." Just then, the mayor came running up, out of breath and holding a wriggling Fuzzy Doom. "Joe," he panted, "we have a situation. The pet shops are empty. The animal shelters too. Everyone wants to adopt a space puppy." Joe looked around. People were everywhere, cuddling their new alien pets. Kids were throwing frisbees for the Fuzzy Dooms, who caught them with amazing jumps. Some of the puppies were even helping old ladies cross the street. "I don't see a problem, Mr. Mayor," Joe said with a smile. "Looks like our city just got a whole lot friendlier." The mayor nodded, then sneezed. "Yes, but achoo, I think I might be allergic to aliens." Just then, a group of scientists came running up. They looked very excited. "Officer Joe," one of them called out, "we've made an amazing discovery about the Fuzzy Dooms." Joe raised an eyebrow. "Oh, what's that?" The scientist held up a device that looked like a mix between a calculator and a hairdryer. "We've analyzed their droppings. It turns out Fuzzy Doom poop is the most effective fertilizer we've ever seen." Joe tried not to laugh. "You're saying alien dog poop is some kind of super plant food?" The scientist nodded eagerly. "Yes, we planted some seeds in it, and they grew into full-size plants in just hours. This could solve world hunger." The mayor's eyes lit up. "Did you hear that, Joe? Our alien invasion might just save the planet." Meanwhile, all over the city, funny things were happening. In the park, a group of Fuzzy Dooms had started a game of soccer. They were surprisingly good, using their fluffy tails to kick the ball. At the fire station, the firefighters had trained some Fuzzy Dooms to slide down the pole. The puppies loved it so much, they kept climbing back up to do it again. In the library, a very serious-looking Fuzzy Doom was wearing tiny glasses and appeared to be reading a book about rocket science. At the local diner, the cook had discovered that Fuzzy Dooms loved to help in the kitchen. They were excellent at flipping pancakes with their tails. Joe's police radio crackled to life. "All units, be advised. We have reports of Fuzzy Dooms, helping old ladies with their grocery shopping. Over." Joe chuckled and responded, "Copy that. Tell those Fuzzy Dooms they're doing a great job. Over." As the day went on, more and more funny videos of the Fuzzy Dooms started appearing online. There were Fuzzy Dooms riding skateboards, Fuzzy Dooms trying to catch bubbles, and even a Fuzzy Doom attempting to use a smartphone with its paw. One video went super viral. It showed a Fuzzy Doom at a piano, seemingly playing a simple tune. People couldn't believe it. "Alien dogs can play music?" everyone asked. But the funniest video of all was from the local news station. They had invited a Fuzzy Doom to be a special guest on their morning show. Everything was going well until the weather report. The Fuzzy Doom got excited, jumped up, and accidentally knocked over the green screen. The weatherman ended up chasing the puppy around the studio, both of them disappearing and reappearing as different weather patterns. As evening fell, Joe and Cosmic walked through the city. Everywhere they looked, people and Fuzzy Dooms were becoming best friends. "You know, Cosmic," Joe said, "I think Earth might be the luckiest planet in the universe. We thought we were getting invaded, but instead we got a whole bunch of new furry friends." Cosmic wagged his tail and let out a happy woof. Suddenly, Cosmic's communication patch started glowing again. The hologram appeared, showing the angry face of Supreme Commander Zoink. "Attention, Earth creatures," Zoink shouted. "I am almost there. Prepare to tremble before the might of the Zorgan Empire." Joe looked at Cosmic, then at all the happy scenes around them. He couldn't help but laugh. "Well, Commander," he said to the hologram, "I hate to break it to you, but I think your invasion has already succeeded, just not in the way you expected." The hologram disappeared, leaving Joe and Cosmic standing under the stars. In the distance, they could see a small, bright light getting closer and closer. "Looks like we're about to have one more visitor," Joe said. "What do you say we go give him a proper Earth welcome?" Cosmic barked in agreement. Together, they headed towards the landing site, ready to greet the surprised alien commander with wagging tails and friendly smiles. Little did Supreme Commander Zoink know, he was about to land in a world where his scariest weapons have become man's best friend. The puppy invasion was complete, and Earth would never be the same again. Boss Alien's big plan. Supreme Commander Zoink's spaceship zoomed towards Earth. Inside, Zoink paced back and forth, his big alien head almost touching the ceiling. "Those silly humans," he grumbled. "They think they can make fools of the mighty Zorgan Empire. I'll show them." Zoink stomped over to a big mirror. He put on his scariest helmet, which had spikes and blinking lights. Then he picked up his largest ray gun, which made impressive pew-pew noises when he pressed the trigger. "Perfect," Zoink said, admiring himself in the mirror. "I look terrifying." But deep down, Zoink felt nervous. He had never actually been to another planet before. What if Earth was different from what he expected? As Earth got closer, Zoink called his assistant, Zorg, on the video screen. "Zorg," he barked, "give me an update on our Fuzzy Doom invasion." Zorg appeared on the screen, looking very uncomfortable. "Well, sir, the thing is, the invasion is going great, just not in the way we planned." Zoink's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Zorg gulped. "Well, sir, the humans seem to love the Fuzzy Dooms. They're treating them like pets. There are even Fuzzy Doom toys in stores now." Zoink's face turned from green to red to purple. "What?" He shouted so loud that Zorg fell off his chair. "This is unacceptable," Zoink continued. "But don't worry. I have a plan. A big plan. The biggest plan in the history of plans." Zorg climbed back onto his chair. "What is it, sir?" Zoink grinned, showing all his pointy alien teeth. "I'm going to use our secret weapon, the Mega Morpher Ray." Zorg gasped. "But sir, that's never been tested. We don't know what it will do." Zoink waved his hand dismissively. Details. Here's what we'll do. I'll land on Earth and use the Mega Morpher Ray on all the Fuzzy Dooms. It will make them grow into giant, terrifying monsters. Then the humans will be sorry they ever laughed at us." Zorg looked worried. "Are you sure about this, sir?" But Zoink wasn't listening. He was too busy practicing his evil laugh. "Mwahaha! Earth will be ours." As Zoink's ship entered Earth's atmosphere, people on the ground pointed up at the sky. "Look!" someone shouted. "Another shooting star." Officer Joe, who was playing fetch with Cosmic and some other Fuzzy Dooms, looked up. He saw the spaceship coming closer and closer. "I don't think that's a shooting star," he said. "I think we're about to meet the boss alien." The spaceship landed with a soft thump in the middle of Central Park. A crowd gathered around it, humans and Fuzzy Dooms alike, all curious to see what would happen. With a hiss of steam, the spaceship's door opened. Out stepped Supreme Commander Zoink, trying his best to look scary in his spiked helmet and holding his big ray gun. "Tremble before me, Earth creatures," Zoink shouted. "I am Supreme Commander Zoink of the Zorgan Empire." But instead of screaming and running away, the crowd just stared. Then someone giggled. Soon, everyone was laughing. Zoink looked confused. "Why aren't you afraid?" he demanded. A little girl stepped forward. "You look funny," she said, pointing at his blinking helmet. "Are you here for the costume party?" Zoink stomped his foot. "This is not a costume. I am a terrifying alien invader." Just then, a group of Fuzzy Dooms ran up to Zoink. They sniffed his feet and wagged their tails, happy to see someone from their home planet. Zoink looked down at the puppies in horror. "What have you done?" he asked them. "You were supposed to destroy this planet, not make friends with it." Officer Joe stepped forward, Cosmic by his side. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Zoink," he said with a smile. "I'm Officer Joe, and this is Cosmic. We've been expecting you." Zoink pointed his ray gun at Joe. "Stay back. I'm warning you." But Cosmic wasn't scared. He trotted up to Zoink and gave his leg a friendly lick. Zoink jumped back in surprise. "You, fuzzy doom germs." The crowd laughed again. Zoink realized his scary act wasn't working. It was time for Plan B. "Enough of this," he shouted. He pulled out another gun, this one bigger and shinier than the first. "Behold the Megamorph Ray. With this, I will turn all the fuzzy dooms into giant monsters." The crowd gasped. Officer Joe stepped in front of Cosmic protectively. Now," Joe said calmly. "Let's not do anything hasty. Why don't we talk about this?" But Zoink wasn't listening. He pointed the Megamorph Ray at the group of fuzzy dooms and pulled the trigger. There was a bright flash of light and a loud boom. Everyone covered their eyes. When the light faded, everyone looked around in confusion. The fuzzy dooms were still there, still the same size. But something was different. Zoink looked at his ray gun in disbelief. It didn't work. But how? Then someone in the crowd started laughing and pointing. Soon, everyone was giggling and staring at Zoink. Confused, Zoink looked down at himself. His eyes went wide with shock. The Megamorph Ray hadn't affected the fuzzy dooms at all. Instead, it had turned Zoink into a cute, fluffy alien puppy, just like them. As realization dawned on Zoink's now furry face, he let out a tiny, squeaky woof. The crowd erupted in laughter and cheers. Officer Joe picked up the newly puppified Zoink. "Well, Commander," Joe said with a grin, "welcome to the family." And so, Supreme Commander Zoink's big plan didn't quite work out the way he expected. But as he looked around at all the smiling faces, both human and fuzzy doom, he started to think that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't so bad after all. The puppy invasion was complete, and its newest member was none other than the boss alien himself. Party Crasher. The city was buzzing with excitement. It was time for the biggest puppy parade in history. Humans and fuzzy dooms lined the streets, ready to celebrate their new friendship. At the front of the parade was Officer Joe, riding in a shiny police car. Next to him sat Cosmic, wearing a tiny police hat. Behind them came floats filled with fuzzy dooms doing all sorts of funny tricks. One float had fuzzy dooms playing tiny instruments. Another had them dressed as famous movie characters. There was even a float where fuzzy dooms were having a tea party. As for the newly puppified Supreme Commander Zoink, he was riding in a special float shaped like a spaceship. He still wasn't sure how he felt about being turned into a fuzzy doom, but he had to admit, the attention was nice. "Wave to the crowd, Zoink," Joe called out. Zoink gave a little woof and wagged his tail. The crowd went wild. Just as the parade was in full swing, something unexpected happened. A bright light appeared in the sky, growing bigger and bigger. "Look!" someone shouted. "Another alien spaceship." Sure enough, a massive ship was descending towards the city. It was much bigger than Zoink's ship, covered in blinking lights and making a loud humming noise. The parade came to a halt. Everyone looked up, wondering what was going to happen next. With a hiss of steam, a door on the big ship opened. Out stepped the biggest, greenest alien anyone had ever seen. It was Zoink's boss, the Grand High Zorgan himself. The Grand High Zorgan looked around, his three eyes blinking in confusion. He had expected to find a planet in chaos, with Zoink leading a terrifying invasion. Instead, he saw streets filled with happy humans and playful fuzzy dooms. "What is the meaning of this?" The Grand High Zorgan boomed. His voice was so loud it made windows rattle. Officer Joe stepped forward, Cosmic by his side. "Welcome to Earth," he said with a friendly smile. "We're having a parade. Would you like to join us?" The Grand High Zorgon's face turned purple with anger. Join you? I came here to conquer your planet. Where is Supreme Commander Zoink? Just then, Zoink came bounding up, his tiny paws making little tapping sounds on the pavement. He looked up at his boss and gave a happy woof. The Grand High Zorgon's eyes went wide. Zoink, is that you? What happened? Joe explained how Zoink had accidentally turned himself into a fuzzy doom. As he talked, the Grand High Zorgon's angry expression slowly changed to one of interest. You mean to tell me, the Grand High Zorgon said, that instead of destroying your cities, our fuzzy dooms have become your friends? Joe nodded. That's right. And they've made our lives better in so many ways. Here, let me show you. Joe led the Grand High Zorgon through the city, showing him all the wonderful things the fuzzy dooms had done. They saw fuzzy dooms helping in hospitals, making sick kids smile. They watched fuzzy dooms planting trees in the park, their super fertilizer poop making the plants grow super fast. They even visited a school where fuzzy dooms were helping kids learn. One fuzzy doom was teaching a math class, writing equations on the board with its tail. As they walked, the Grand High Zorgon's frown slowly turned into a smile. By the time they got back to the parade, he was laughing at the fuzzy doom's antics. I must admit, the Grand High Zorgon said, this is not what I expected. But it seems like you Earthlings have found a much better use for our fuzzy dooms than we ever did. Just then, a group of fuzzy dooms came up to the Grand High Zorgon. They wagged their tails and looked up at him with big, hopeful eyes. The Grand High Zorgon hesitated for a moment, then reached down to pet them. As soon as he did, his face lit up with joy. Oh my, he exclaimed. They're so soft. And look at those eyes. How could we ever have thought these adorable creatures were weapons? Officer Joe grinned. So, what do you say? Friends instead of enemies. The Grand High Zorgon straightened up, trying to look serious. But he couldn't hide his smile. Well, I suppose conquering isn't everything. Perhaps we could arrange a cultural exchange. And just like that, the invasion turned into a celebration. The Grand High Zorgon joined the parade, riding on a float with Zoink. He waved to the crowd, his green face beaming with happiness. As night fell, the city lit up with fireworks. Humans and aliens watched together, oohing and awing at the colorful display. Officer Joe stood with Cosmic, watching the scene with a smile. You know, buddy, he said, scratching Cosmic behind the ears, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship, not just between us and the fuzzy dooms, but between Earth and the whole Zorgon Empire. Cosmic wagged his tail in agreement. He looked up at the sky, where the fireworks were painting pictures of humans and fuzzy dooms playing together. And so, what started as an invasion ended as a big, joyful party. The Zorgons learned that friendship was better than fear, and the humans learned that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. As for the fuzzy dooms, well, they were just happy to have so many new friends to play with. And to think, all of this happened because someone mistook the cutest creatures in the galaxy for terrifying monsters. The end.